And we are live, my friends. What is going on? Vitaly Dovin is here, founder of Bitcoin's Walls Club. Welcome to today's episode of What's Going On Today in Crypto. And I just came back from a vacation in Singapore, and lots of things have been going on in the crypto space. I want to discuss today the price action, what we are seeing on the charts in the immediate term, also in the longer term, what we are seeing in the crypto market. What are the predictions that we are seeing from very popular crypto traders, as well as what I'm seeing in the charts. And I want to also discuss with you some important updates in regards to the Ethereum network and its upgrade to Ethereum 2.0 and what it can mean to you and how you can even become a validator on the network by holding a certain amount of Ethereum on the network. Because they're shifting to proof of stake, which is quite interesting. And I want to also discuss with you the most important event that will happen in 2020, which is the Bitcoin halving and how it can affect Bitcoin prices. And why people like John McAfee are saying and doubling up on their prediction that Bitcoin can reach $2 million. For me, in 2020, by the end of 2020, for me, it's too far-fetched, but we're going to discuss that. And also the most important invention in the last 500 years, we're going to discuss that and what it means for the future of society. So I want to begin, guys. And first of all, I want to share with you what's going on in the cryptocurrency coin market cap. Right now, we are seeing Bitcoin slightly up together with mostly some other coins in the last 24 hours. Bitcoin SV has gained the most, 12.79% in the change in the last 24 hours. And I want you to notice here a little pattern. So we have been falling quite a bit since this highest high this year in June. From that point in 26th of June, which we reached almost $14,000 in Bitcoin, we've been sliding along this downward sloping triangle right here, which is classical technical analysis is a bearish pattern, which we broke right here on 22nd of September with a heinous move downwards of about 40% downwards right here when we reached about $8,000. And in the last quite a while here, pretty much the last months, we've been going over this range from 7,700 or something so over to 8,500 or so. Okay, so this mostly the bulk of the action has been from 8,500 to 8,200. Okay, so on those micro moves, of course, you can make a little bit of profit here and there, but this typically means that we are in for some big move again. Now the question is, are we going to see a move to the upside or are we going to see a move to the downside? Because it was quite a boring market this past month. Not much was going on. It was trading back and forth, a little bit down, a little bit upwards. So we are still trading below the 200 days moving average, as you can see per this yellow line that represent the average of the last 200 days. On the RSI, we are somewhere about the middle, a little bit less than that, about 40 on the middle. Now, what it means that we are trading still below the 200 days moving average is that we have a bearish sentiment. Okay, this has taken a very long time and we are trading below this average. So we might shift yet again to the bearish zone if we continue to trade below the 200 days moving averages, which in the bullish markets we never trade below the 200 days moving average. We're always above, and that's the way it was right there since we started this move. Right here in February 2019, we started trading above the 200-day moving averages, and we were going parabolically here for quite some time. until June, we started to see this decline. From a bearish perspective, we might see this right here as a big giant bear flag, okay, which means that we might still have some room to go on the downside. So if currently if you're taking a look at where we are standing at right now, guys, at this exact moment in time, we are somewhere below the 0.5 on the Fibonacci retracement. When we retraced all this move since the lowest low of 2019 to the highest high of 2019, we are trading right we came down more than 50% from the 14,000, something about that. Okay, yet with that being said, guys, we still have some interesting things to note. If we take a closer look, guys, at the 4-hour chart right here, we are starting to see a little bit of a positive uptrend right here, where we are creating higher lows and higher highs. So this is a channel like here, like this, okay, that you can see right there is a positive channel that we are moving around right now with slightly higher lows and slightly higher highs. Okay, now that doesn't mean that we are going to just continue like this going on. We might as well, as you know, anything is you cannot predict, anything can happen in the crypto market, and we might see it rise all the way to $9,000 or even $10,000. For me, that will be a really good bullish scenario if we're able to touch that point of 9,500, 10,000, and then go beyond. Or what might happen as we're sliding here along this area right here, we might go like this and then boom, down to 7,000 or 6,500. Okay, so we were going to see where it is leading, but let's take a look at the more macro move, guys, over the next year. What we are seeing and why we are going to have a big event, and Bitcoin price might hit $55,000 after the big halving event, says the Morgan Creek digital co-founder. And what it really means is, if you take a look at this right here, the modeling of Bitcoin's value and scarcity, there was a popular Medium post from 2000, from earlier here on the March 22nd, we're actually showing how Bitcoin is scarce, and a ratio of stock to flow. It actually shows that you cannot inflate the supply of Bitcoin, like in gold and any other commodity. No matter how much the price is rising, you can a little bit increase the supply growth, just a little bit, maybe 1.6% supply growth per year, which is not much in gold. That's why gold is holding its value. But in Bitcoin, you cannot really inflate or create more supply, even though the price might be rising. There is more scarcity. And what we are seeing in the recent, in the upcoming, should I say, 2020 Bitcoin halving, is that the supply of Bitcoin would be cut by $63 million a week. That's a lot, guys. $63 million a week at current prices, of course. And this is due to the fact that currently, as I told many times, 12.5 Bitcoin, that's the reality. What the miners are getting as a block reward every time the block is added to the blockchain, we're getting 12.5. They're getting 12.5 Bitcoin reward. And after the halving event on May, which will occur on May 2020, the reward will fall to 6.25. So it will be half the reward. Okay, and according to this analysis, stock to flow model, according to this model right here, what we are going to see for Bitcoin is at least a price of $55,000. Now that comes short, I should say, from what John McAfee is saying, where he's actually doubled down on his prediction of Bitcoin, and he's saying it's actually going to reach more than $1 million in the next should I say by end 2020. But even though I think it's still far greater than what we are seeing right now, as Bitcoin is trading at $8,200 right now. Okay. Recently, there was a pretty big move. If we take a zoom at an hourly, this was quite a rise from 7,900 to almost 8,350. You can see the volatility is quite great and immense in the Bitcoin space. So are we going to see $55,000? That's the question, at least according to this model in 2020, after the halving event until the end of 2020. And John McAfee is also saying that 2020 is going to be a big year for Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. One of the reasons also is because of this. The Federal Reserve just printed more money than Bitcoin's entire market cap. They are printing money out of thin air, and the balance sheet approaches $4 trillion now for the Federal Reserve in US. And according to Mervyn King, the former Bank of England, he is saying that the world is sleepwalking into the next financial crisis. Okay, they're just inflating the supply, and the people who are closest to the money supply, they're buying houses and stuff like that, and they're leaving everybody else, at a disadvantage because of that. And the next financial crisis, according to him, is going to be even worse than that of 2008. And he might know a thing or two as the former Bank of England governor. Okay, so just be careful, guys, as the world understands the money is shifting, especially in those underprivileged economies like Venezuela and other countries. They are so much preferring Bitcoin because they don't trust the government's money. And the same can happen to US dollars in any other country. People are continuing to distrust more and more their local fiat currencies. And the world is moving into adopting Bitcoin more and more. Like, for example, the HTC Taiwanese electronics manufacturer, they're actually producing the latest blockchain phone called Exodus 1, which will have the ability to run a full Bitcoin node on the phone itself and supporting the network. So it already comes with 400 gigabyte of SD card, which is quite nice. And the smartphone will be available in 27 countries. So the world is definitely moving in this direction of creating blockchain. Blockchain is very supportive smartphones right from the get-go, right from the beginning, which is very nice to see as we are adopting more and more Bitcoin into the world. Okay. And also I wanted to talk to you about this very interesting article. You can read about it. It's titled "Why Everyone Missed the Most Important Invention in the Last 500 Years." And it's actually something that has to do with triple entry accounting. Now, to make it the whole story short, we used to have a single entry accounting, when everybody just wrote down what you own, what you owe, and stuff, something like that. Then we moved on the 1400s into the double entry accounting. With the invention of the printing press, it became common knowledge, and it was widely adopted. The double entry accounting, when you have liabilities and you have what you owe and what you own. assets and liabilities, and you have to have auditors in order to audit, is it really true? So if today, if you have transactions and you have from one bank to the other bank, you have transaction, the one party who did the transaction has its own taxation and accounting software, and the other one also have its own taxation and accounting software, and creates the need for third-party auditing to go on. Now, with the triple entry accounting, which is actually what happened with the invention of the blockchain and the Bitcoin and other blockchain, now everything is verifiable on the blockchain. You don't need to have, all this expensive time and auditing, and everything is transparent and visible for everybody to see. And it will have a far-fetched effect on voting and on other aspects of our society, pretty much on every aspect of our society. This is going to make a big impact, because everything is not being able to mess up in the blockchain. Everything is transparent for everybody to see. So this is quite an important invention that is changing everything, making it just more trustworthy, and we don't need to rely on third party in order to verify what is true and what is not true. So gradually we'll taking it to the next levels. And also I wanted to discuss to you today this Ethereum 2.0. This is the next evolution of Ethereum. This is the second largest cryptocurrency, which is actually going from proof of work to proof of stake, which means that instead of mining, and paying miners to secure the network, we will be paying validators to secure the network. And you can become a validator of the network by having 32 Ethereum putting into the Casper mechanism. So next year, when it will be all done and finished, if you have 32 Ethereum, if you have accumulated, you have 32 Ethereum, which is right now about $5,500, something like that. At the current price of Ethereum, you could become a validator and actually earn a reward for validating transactions on the Ethereum network. And you can see the maximum annual return rate for validators is about 18% in the best case scenario, which is not bad. Even 10% a year, which is, pretty safe return, very safe return. It's quite nice for a safe return. So if you ever going to consider, you might, take a look at the Ethereum 2.0 proposals and how you can become a validator with 32 ETH, and look more in depth into that when that is going to be available. Just preparing you in advance for that. Okay, so that's what I wanted to share with you guys today. Hopefully you have a fantastic week, and we are going to see Bitcoin climbing to the $10,000 region again and continuing its upward trend, which started in the beginning of this year around February and March. So let's continue looking at the upcoming weeks and what it is to store for everybody, and I'll see you soon.